Snow White and the Seven Little Dwarfs. A graded reader, level A2. Chapter 1: The White Skin and the Wicked Queen. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, a baby girl was born. Her skin was very white, like snow in winter. Her mother and father loved her very much. They looked at her beautiful white skin and said, "We will call her Snow White." But, unfortunately, a sad thing happened. A short time later, Snow White's mother died. Her father was very sad, but he was also worried. Snow White was a small baby, and she needed a mother. So, the king decided to marry again. The new wife, Snow White's stepmother, was a very beautiful woman. She had a beautiful face and long hair, but she was not a good person. She had a cold, bad heart. She was the new queen. Then, another bad day came. Snow White's father died, too. Now Snow White was alone with her stepmother. The queen did not love Snow White. Actually, she hated the girl. The queen was jealous because Snow White was very beautiful. The queen treated Snow White very badly. Snow White was a princess, but the queen treated her like a servant. Snow White washed the floors and cleaned the castle. She wore old clothes, but she was still beautiful. The queen was a witch, and she had a magic object. It was a magic mirror. Every day, the queen went to her room. She stood in front of the mirror and asked a poetic question. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of all?" The magic mirror always told the truth. It answered, "You, my queen, are the most beautiful woman in the kingdom." The queen was happy when she heard this. She knew the mirror did not lie. Chapter 2: The Hunter and the Forest. Years passed. Snow White grew up. She became a young woman. She was sweeter and more beautiful than before. Her heart was kind, and everyone loved her. One day, the queen went to her room. She stood in front of the magic mirror again. She expected the same answer. She asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of all?" But today, the mirror gave a different answer. It said, "My queen, you are very beautiful. But Snow White is more beautiful than you." The queen was shocked. Her face became red with anger. She was crazy with jealousy. She could not accept this. "No," she screamed. "I must be the most beautiful." She called one of her servants. He was a hunter. The queen gave him a terrible order. "Take Snow White into the middle of the forest," the queen said coldly. "Kill her. And when you return, bring me her heart." The hunter was afraid of the queen, so he obeyed. He took poor Snow White into the deep, dark forest. Snow White did not know the plan. She walked with the hunter. She was happy to see the trees and the flowers. She was so gentle and so beautiful, the hunter was afraid of the queen, so he obeyed. He took poor Snow White into the deep, dark forest. Snow White did not know the plan. She walked with the hunter. She was happy to see the trees and the flowers. She was so gentle and so beautiful. The hunter looked at the girl. He took out his knife, but he could not do it. He had a good heart. He could not kill this sweet girl. He started to cry. "I cannot do this cruel thing," the hunter said to Snow White. "The queen wants to kill you. But I will not hurt you." Snow White was frightened. "What can I do?" she asked. "Run away," said the hunter. "Run into the forest and hide. Do not go back to the castle. You are safe here in the woods." Snow White ran. She ran fast through the trees. The hunter needed to return to the queen. He caught an animal in the forest. He took the animal's heart and put it in a box. He brought it to the queen. The queen looked at the heart and thought it was Snow White's heart. She was satisfied. She thought Snow White was dead. Chapter 3: The Little House. Snow White ran for a long time. The forest was dark and scary. There were strange noises. She ran all night. She was very tired, hungry, and thirsty. Finally, the sun came up. It was morning. In the distance, Snow White saw a strange little house. It was a very small cottage. She walked to the door and knocked. Knock, knock, knock. "Hello," she said. "Is anybody home?" There was no answer. She pushed the door, and it opened. Snow White went inside. She looked around the room. It was very messy. There were clothes on the floor and unwashed plates on the table. But everything was very small. Who lives here? Snow White thought. Maybe 7 messy children live here. Look at this dust. Look at these dirty plates. She saw 7 little chairs, a 7 little table, and 7 little plates. Snow White was a tidy person. She decided to help. "I will clean this house," she said. "Maybe the children will be happy when they come home." She found a broom and some water. She washed the floors. She washed the 7 little cups and the 7 little plates. She dusted the chairs. Soon, the house was clean and shiny. After her work, Snow White was exhausted. She went upstairs. There, she found a bedroom with 7 little beds in a row. They looked very comfortable. She lay down on the beds. In 1 minute, she was asleep. Chapter 4 of the 7 Little Dwarfs. A few hours later, the owners of the house came back. They were not children. They were 7 little dwarfs. They worked all day in the mine, digging for gold in the mountains. They whistled happily as they walked home. But when they opened the door, they stopped. "Look," said one dwarf. "The floor is clean." "Look," said another. "The cups are washed." "Someone is in our house," they whispered. They were a little afraid. They walked quietly upstairs. They looked at their beds. They saw a beautiful young woman sleeping there. "Oh, look," whispered the dwarfs. "She is so beautiful." They stood around the bed and watched her. They did not wake her up because she looked so tired. Suddenly, Snow White opened her eyes. She saw 7 little men with beards looking at her. She sat up quickly. She was embarrassed. "Oh. Hello," she said. "I am sorry. I fell asleep." "Who are you?" asked the dwarfs. "And why are you here?" Snow White told them her sad story. She told them about her wicked stepmother, the jealous queen. She told them about the hunter and the forest. The 7 little dwarfs felt sorry for her. They were kind men. "You cannot go back to the castle," said the dwarfs. "It is too dangerous. You can stay here with us. You can live in our house." Snow White was very happy. "Oh, thank you," she said. "I will cook for you and keep the house clean." So, Snow White lived with the 7 little dwarfs. Every morning, the dwarfs went to work in the mine. Snow White stayed at home. She cleaned, cooked, and waited for them. They were very good friends. Chapter 5: The Poisoned Apple. Back at the castle, the queen was happy. She thought she was the most beautiful woman again. One day, she went to the magic mirror. She felt confident. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of all?" The mirror answered, "My queen, you are beautiful, it is true. But Snow White is alive in the forest, too. She lives with the 7 dwarfs, far away, and she is the most beautiful today." The queen was furious. "She is alive," she screamed. "The hunter lied to me." She thought about a terrible plan. She wanted revenge. "I will kill her myself," she said. The queen knew magic. She drank a potion and changed her body. She did not look like a queen anymore. She looked like an old, poor woman. She looked like a sweet grandmother, but she was dangerous. Then, she took a beautiful red apple. It looked delicious. But the queen put a powerful poison inside the apple. One bite, and Snow White would sleep forever. "Now," said the queen with a terrible laugh, "I will go to the forest." Chapter 6: A Long Sleep. It was morning in the forest. The 7 little dwarfs were at work. Snow White was alone in the cottage. She was doing her housework. Suddenly, she saw a figure near the window. It was an old woman. Snow White did not know this was her wicked stepmother. She only saw a tired old lady. The old woman smiled. "Hello, my dear," she said. Snow White was kind. She opened the door. "Hello," she said. "Can I help you?" The old woman had a basket of apples. "I have these beautiful red apples," the old woman said. "Do you want one?" "They are lovely," said Snow White. "But I do not need apples today." "Please," said the witch. "You are a very kind girl. I want to give you a gift. Take this apple. It is the most beautiful and juicy apple in the basket. Eat it." Snow White looked at the red fruit. It looked very good. "Thank you," she said. Snow White took the apple. She opened her mouth and took one bite. Immediately, she fell to the floor. The poison was very strong. Snow White closed her eyes. She did not move. "Ha!" shouted the queen. "Now I am the most beautiful in the land. Finally, I am free of her." The queen ran away back to her castle. In the evening, the 7 little dwarfs came home. They saw the door open. They ran inside. "Snow White," they called. They found her on the floor. She did not breathe. She did not move. "Wake up, Snow White. Please, wake up," they cried. They tried to wake her, but she was like stone. "She is dead," said one dwarf, crying. The 7 little dwarfs were desperate. They cried for a long time. But Snow White was still so beautiful. Her skin was still white like snow, and her cheeks were red. They could not put her in the cold ground. "We will build a special bed for her," they decided. They built a coffin made of clear crystal and glass. They put Snow White inside. They put the coffin in the forest, among the flowers. Every day and every night, the dwarfs watched over her. They protected her body. Chapter 7: The Prince and the Kiss. Snow White slept in the crystal coffin for a long time. She did not wake up, but she did not change. She continued to look like she was only sleeping. One morning, a handsome prince was riding his horse through the forest. He heard birds singing near the dwarf's house. He rode closer and saw the crystal coffin. He stopped his horse. He saw the beautiful girl inside the glass. "Who is this beautiful girl?" the prince asked the dwarfs. The dwarfs told him the story of Snow White and the wicked queen. The prince looked at Snow White. He fell in love with her immediately. She was the most beautiful girl he ever saw. "She looks like an angel," the prince whispered. He got off his horse. He walked to the coffin. He lifted the glass cover. He wanted to say goodbye to this lovely princess. He bent down and kissed her lips gently. It was a magic moment. The kiss of true love was stronger than the queen's poison. Suddenly, Snow White took a breath. Her eyes opened. She looked up and saw the handsome prince. The spell was broken. She sat up and smiled. "Where am I?" she asked. The prince held her hand. "You are safe," he said. "I love you." The 7 little dwarfs could not believe their eyes. They shouted with joy. They hugged Snow White. They danced around the couple. "She is alive! She is alive!" they cheered. Snow White and the prince looked at each other. They were in love. Their hearts were united. Snow White said goodbye to her dear friends, the 7 little dwarfs. "Thank you for everything," she said. She got on the horse with the prince. They rode away to his castle. The wicked queen was never seen again. Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after. The end.